Let's continue going over Al-Kayfiyah, how to debate the so-called Salafiyah. And now we've reached where the author says, hanging words around one's neck for protection. A paper or the like a piece of brass or a piece of leather, on which Quran and supplications for protection are written, is called hirz or hijab or ta'weedh. Nothing wrong with this. It is religiously substantiated. It's neither kufr nor shirk. There's nothing wrong with it. The religious evidence has priority over all opinions. When the Wahhabi says, but this is a door for shirk, tell him, no, it's not a door for shirk at all. Or he says anything like that. We need to be careful here so that we don't slip into, nobody's here slipping into something. Rather, the case is that you Wahhabis, you have wrong understanding about something. And you have ill thoughts of Muslims. You believe that Muslims worship other than Allah in the first place. You don't know what worship means, and you believe that Muslims worship other than Allah. And so you accuse them of worshiping other than Allah or being on the verge of doing so, when they neither do so and they're not on the verge of it either. It's just that you are suspicious people who don't know what worship means. At-Tirmidhi narrates the hadith عن عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. From the route of Amr ibn Shu'aib, from his father, from his grandfather, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, إِذَا فَزِعَ أَحَدُكُمْ فِي النَّوْمِ, if one of you wakes up frightened, disturbed, فَلْيَقُلْ, then let him say, أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات, I seek refuge with the perfect words of Allah, من غضبه وعقابه وشر عباده ومن همزات الشيطان وأن يحضرون. From his ghadab, yani his wrath, which means his will to punish, and his punishment, his torture, and from the evil of his slaves, and from the whispers of the devil, and that the devil would afflict me. قال وكان عبد الله ابن عمرو يعلمها من بلغ من ولده ومن لم يبلغ منهم كتبها في صك ثم علقها على عنقه. He said, and Abdullah ibn Amr used to teach it to his pubescent children. And whoever did not reach puberty among his children, he wrote it and hung it on their necks. So that's from the Sahaba. Al-Albani's weakening this hadith is weightless because he is not qualified to grade any hadith. So it's like he didn't even say anything. His saying the hadith is weak is like he never even said anything. He is not a hafiz of hadith, nor is he a muhaddith. In fact, he's not even a musnid, someone who just narrates the hadiths with their chains of narration only. That's an interesting challenge for a Wahhabi. He thinks Al-Albani is a muhaddith and a hafiz. He's not even a musnid. To be a musnid, you don't have to be a scholar. You just have to have taken the books and you can transmit the hadiths with a chain. So you could be a layman who took hadiths and then you convey them with your chain of narration, like a scholar would do, but you're not a scholar. You have the hadiths, you have the chains, actually, and you know how to narrate. Do the Wahhabis even have a single session of Al-Albani in which he conveyed anything by chain of narration whatsoever? He's not even a musnid, contrary to what those who follow him and need his opinions for their beliefs would say. Yani, Al-Albani, he is a tool. He's something that the Wahhabis need, because they need someone who would be thought of as an authority in hadith science, so that he could weaken whatever they need weakened and authenticate whatever they need authenticated. Here are some references about this practice from the old scholars and imams, from the Salaf and beyond. In Al-Majmu', the explanation of Al-Muhadhab, An-Nawawi said, قال القاضي حسين وغيره يكره للمحدث حمل التعاويذ يعنون الحروز. Judge Hussein and others said that it is disliked for the one who needs to make wudu to carry the ta'weez. They mean the hirz. He didn't say haram. Disliked without having wudu means not forbidden. Or you can say in other words, does not mean forbidden. And according to this saying, if you have wudu, then it's not disliked. Can you imagine a Wahhabi who would bring you this quote? And he would say, look, An-Nawawi reports that Judge Hussein said that this is disliked when you don't have wudu. He's so blind and ignorant that he doesn't realize what that means is, according to this, if you don't have wudu, it's not even disliked. So there's nowhere in the area of haram here. وقال أبو عمرو بن الصلاح في فتوى أخرى. Abu Amr ibn al-Salah said in another fatwa, a verdict, a religious verdict, يجوز تعليق الحروز التي فيها قرآن على النساء والصبيان والرجال. It is permissible to hang the hirz having Quran on the women, children, and men. Abu Amr ibn al-Salah, that's the Imam of Mustalah. ويجعل عليها شمع ونحوه ويستوثق من النساء وشبههن بالتحذير من دخول الخلاء بها. Some wax or the like would be used to seal it, like you put it in a leather pouch, for example, or another way, leather or something else, or plastic. The women and their likes are discouraged from entering the bathroom with it. وَالْمُخْتَارُ أَنَّهُ لَا يُكْرَهُ إِذَا جُعِلَ عَلَيْهِ شَمْعٌ وَنَحْوُهُ لِأَنَّهُ لَمْ يَرِدْ فِيهِ نَهِي. What is preferred, though, not what we just said, but that it's not disliked for them to go into the bathroom with it, if it were sealed with wax or the like, because there was no prohibition narrated about it. It doesn't have to be something you hang on your neck also. It might be like a bracelet, or it might be in your ring, or a ring, or it might be sewn into your clothing. It might be sewn into your qalansawa, your kufi, or your scarf, headscarf. ونقل ابن جرير الطبري عن مالك نحو هذا فقال قال مالك لا بأس بما يعلق على النساء الحيض والصبيان من القرآن إذا جعل في كن كقصبة حديد أو جلد. Here, I'm not sure the harakat for this word. Yukharrazu or something else. Alayhi, not sure. I'm not going to take the time to look right now at the moment though. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, he's mujtahid. He's the scholar of tafsir, the one who has the massive tafsir book, and he has other books. and he's from the Salaf. He documented about Malik what is similar to this. Malik said that there is no problem about the Quran being hung on the menstruating women. Hung on the menstruating women and the children if it were put in some metallic container or a leather pouch that is stitched shut. وقد يستدل للإباحة بحديث عمرو بن شعيب عن أبيه عن جده. Evidence that this is permissible is the hadith of Amr ibn Shu'aib from his father, from his grandfather. أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يعلمهم إذا كان يعلمهم من الفزع كلمات كان يعلمهم من الفزع كلمات. That the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to teach them words for waking up from a nightmare. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من غضبه وشر عباده ومن همزات الشياطين أن يحضرون. I seek refuge with the perfect words of Allah from his ghadab, from the evil of his slaves, and from the whispers of the devils, and that the devil would afflict me. قال وكان عبد الله بن عمرو يعلمهن من عقل من بنيه. And Abdullah ibn Amr used to teach them to whoever had mental discrimination among his children. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَعْقِلْ كَتَبَهُ فَأَعْلَقَهُ عَلَيْهِ. And whoever did not reach mental discrimination amongst his children, the little ones, he wrote it down and hung it on their necks. And hung it on them. رواه أبو داود والترمذي وقال حسن وقال حديث حسن. This is narrated by Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi, who said that the hadith is Hasan, strong or reliable. Yani, it's a fair hadith. So what's your fundamental for debating with the Wahhabi in this issue? The religious evidence. That's your base. You have here a hadith that's a reliable hadith, and you have here the names of a number of reputable scholars. This is enough for you. Where are you going to slip here? You're going to slip by giving the Wahhabi a proof. Then, when he rejects that proof, you give him another proof, a different one. So that's not what you do. You stick to the proof you gave him. Make sure you have all the information you need. For example, you have the hadith. Okay. So he's going to say, this hadith is weak hadith. And why would he say that? Because he lacks precision altogether, and he will guess that it's weak hadith. He will count on you being ignorant and not knowing the level of the hadith. He doesn't care what the level of the hadith is. Had it been an authentic hadith, he doesn't want it anyway. So out of his wretchedness, he's just going to tell you, that's a weak hadith. So you tell him it's not a weak hadith. It's a Hasan hadith, which is good enough. And then from there, okay, now you can't deny the level of the hadith. He can't deny the interpretation of the hadith. He can't deny the hadith or misinterpret the hadith or deny its level. So then what's he going to do? He's going to give you some reasoning in his mind why you should avoid this, why you need to be careful not to fall into shirk, and how it resembles something else. So what are you going to do? Don't give him a new proof. Tell him, actually, the issue is not as you say. What you should do is take the hadith. What you're actually doing is hinting at ignoring this hadith. And what you're actually doing is saying that what these companions did was close to shirk. I thought you followed the Salaf. Here you are correcting them again. You're not following the Salaf, you're correcting them once again. So, validating this practice, you have An-Nawawi, At-Tirmidhi, Judge Hussein, a high-ranking Shafi'i scholar nicknamed Habrul Ummah, the scholar of the nation. He was a mujtahid in the Shafi'i school. Ibn Salah, the forerunner of the science of hadith terminology, a strong scholar. He was faqih and a high-ranking wali. He was a saint, a pious man. At-Tabari, who's a mujtahid. He's a hafiz of hadith and he's Quran interpreter and he's from the Salaf. You have Malik, who needs no introduction. You have the companion Abdullah ibn Amr, as well as Amr ibn Shu'aib and others. These are among the biggest scholars, much, much bigger than Al-Albani, who is not truly a scholar. And over 1,000 years earlier, some of them. They definitely know better about what is shirk and what is not than he does. However, we have already established in the beginning of the book that they believe that the majority of the nation believes in kufr. So this does not embarrass them. They believe that some of the Sahaba have done shirk or have come close to it. Question, ta'weez that has numbers and symbols, are they allowed? They are allowed. But there's knowledge behind that. And I don't really have the knowledge about that. Question, did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not forbid talismans and amulets? Yes, he did forbid those. The tama'im, though, these talismans or amulets, if you want to translate it that way, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said are shirk, are trinkets from the jahiliyyah that are not the same as the hirz. They do not have the same ruling in our religion. And what the Muslim does is not what one of those old mushriks would do. So there's then here an image, a picture, a surah, a scenario that the Wahhabi sees them like they are mirroring each other, that one of them is the reflection of the other, but it's not the case. So what the Wahhabi sees is, or imagines is, an old Arab pagan with an amulet or talisman that has whatever it has, maybe something written on it, or maybe not. Maybe it has some feathers, or maybe it has some nails or teeth or hairs or other things in there. Maybe it has, who knows, his first baby's lock of hair or something he gathered together. Maybe there's a beetle, crushed beetle in there. Who knows? So he has this thing and he believes that it creates. So he wears it for good luck or for whatever. So the Wahhabi says, look at this one. He wrote Quran on a piece of paper and folded it up and concealed it in leather and stitched it closed and put a string on there and wore it around his neck, seeking protection. He did what this one did. That's kufr. It's not the same. Neither did those people use the same thing, nor did they have the same belief behind it. You said, are we allowed to wear the evil eye amulet? So, firstly, I'm going to refrain from calling the hitters an amulet or a talisman. I'm not saying, though, that those words don't really work. Maybe if you look in some dictionaries, you might find that those words work, but I'm not going to use them. So I'm going to say hirz or ta'weez or hijab. So is that what you're asking me about, or are you asking me about something else? Firstly. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. That's our topic now. Yani, let me be more clear for you then. So what came in the hadith is that the Prophet taught them, alayhi salatu wassalam, a dua for waking up from a nightmare. But it's not restricted to that. So it includes hoping for protection from magic, from evil eye, from the jinn. It's not just for a nightmare. So that's our topic now. So this hirz is permissible to wear. If you're asking me about something that some people make and it looks like an eye, that's it. It's just something like, it's basically an eye. It's not Quran written on paper. Then we're not talking about that. Quran or dua, we're not talking about that. That's clear? So, this is what was established by Ahlus Sunnah and understood from the hadith centuries before people misunderstood the case and mixed the two issues. Those people from the era of ignorance believed that those talismans created benefit, and this is blasphemy. The hirz does not create anything. We don't believe that it does. We don't hope that it does. Rather, it is hoped that Allah will create the benefit by it. Question: why rely on these written words? Can Allah protect you without them? This is the Wahhabi's exact question about making tawassul. That's because these are closely related here. That's why this subject came after we talked about tawassul. And the answer is the same. Wearing the hirz is another example of seeking a sabab, a reason to get what you want, which is the protection. That's what you're seeking, the protection. Like drinking water for quenching the thirst, or taking medicine seeking cure. Once there was a Wahhabi. He used to learn from me, actually. And then he met some Wahhabis and they convinced him. So he turned on us. And so I talked to him after he turned. And he said to me, how can you write words on something and hope that Allah will benefit you, will create the benefit for you? That's his question, Yani. He understood the case, which is, we're not saying that this thing creates anything. We're hoping that Allah will create the benefit from it. So he said to me, how could you write words on there and hope that Allah will create the benefit? So the meaning is, he's objecting to this. So I said to him, it's just like if you took some medicine. Don't you hope that Allah will create the cure for you? So he was stumped for a moment, and then he just shook his head like, no. It means he's saying, I don't accept this. So he didn't accept. But he didn't have any answer though. So that's how it is when a person is misguided. That's how it is when you talk to somebody and you give them a proof and they don't accept the proof that you give them. So you don't move to another proof. Yani, that's not usually what you should do. Because in the first place, he's already not accepting from you. And sometimes, a lot of times, the person already made up his mind he's not going to accept what you're saying. And on top of that, this person already thinks that you're trying to legalize and rationalize paganism. So then what you probably want to do is stick to the strongest proof you have, like the hadith here. Let's say here you have two options. One option is to give him the hadith. The other option is to give him an example, like the example of taking the medicine, the example of drinking water, hoping that Allah will create the quench of your thirst, the example of having a lock on your door. You don't believe that the lock creates anything, but you hope that Allah will create the protection for your home and family because of the lock. So, which one you want to use for him? Probably you want to stick to the hadith. And don't let him get away. A person should not believe that these reasons create anything, this water, or this medicine, or this lock. And a person should not believe that they benefit without the power and creating of Allah. And you should not succumb to the Wahhabis' superstition and his suspicion. Don't give in to this Wahhabi in this way. Stand up to him and make him acknowledge the evidence. Here's the hadith for you. This is what they did. What do you say? What do you say about this hadith? You can't say it's weak, and you have no way to misinterpret it. So then here he should be silent. When you stick here, then if he's not going to accept, then what's left for him? To be silent. Then make him be silent. Make him shut his mouth. Then when he shuts his mouth, you tell him, all right, I'm out now. That's it. You're done. To believe these words create benefit is shirk. Because Allah is the only creator. Like believing that water creates the quench, or that medicine creates the cure. That would be kufr. But the Muslim doesn't believe that. The benefit of wearing them is that one hopes that Allah will create the benefits by them, and not that they create anything. Allah is the only creator. Here's an advice for you. Shaykh Abdullah says, reciting al-mu'awwidhat after every obligatory prayer, even just one time each, is stronger than a hirz. It's this very mighty protection. So if you do them 3 times each after Fajr and after Maghrib, keep doing that. You'll pray your Maghrib, then do them 3 times. Then after Isha, do them once each. Then after Fajr, do them 3 times each. Then after Dhuhr, do them once each. Then after Asr, do them once each. Then after Maghrib, do them 3 times each. Very powerful tahseen here. And what makes your tahseen stronger and stronger is 1, consistency. Keep doing it. The more you do it, the more powerful it will be, inshallah. And 2, avoiding sins. So the better you are, the better your status is, the better your heart is, the better your standing with Allah is, the more powerful these things will be for you, insha'Allah ta'ala. Therefore, it is valid for us to also ask them, why do you drink water? And not merely rely on Allah. Make him answer. Like if he says, that's different. Tell him, no, it's not different. Say, yeah, it is different. You're mixing apples and oranges. Tell him apples and oranges are both fruits. Say, what? You silly guy. Say, you're the silly guy. What are you talking about? Apples and oranges are both fruits. They are both fruits. Aren't they both fruits? Say, don't you know what that means? Yeah, I know what it means. What's the answer to my question? Why do you drink water and you don't merely rely on Allah? That's what somebody's going to tell you when he wants to get out of your question and he wants to make it out to be that you're changing the subject. He's going to say, you're mixing apples and oranges. Tell him, apples and oranges are both fruits. Who's the silly one here? The one who blames somebody for comparing a fruit to a fruit? You're the silly one here. You say to him, can Allah relieve that thirst without water? Why do you have a lock on your door? Do you have a lock on your door? Why do you take medicine? Why do you recite words for protection? So he says, that's different. You're changing the subject. Tell him, humor me. Just tell me the answer. He's not going to want to answer this question for you. No, you're changing the subject. Stay on the subject. It is on subject. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Just answer the question. Why don't you answer the question for me? The reason you're not going to answer this question is because it's exactly the question to ask. Most of the time, brothers and sisters, if you debate properly, the question they don't want to answer is the exact question that you should be asking. Why do you even recite words for protection? Even reciting the words of protection with the tongue is done with the same reasoning. One hopes that Allah will protect him by those uttered words. Those uttered words do not create. Do you believe that your tongue creates? Do you believe that the sound your voice creates? No. Why are you reciting these words? Cannot Allah protect you without you reciting those words? Yes or no? If he's a normally stubborn Wahhabi, then he won't answer your question. He will rather just shut his mouth. Say, I'm done with you. Likewise, the Muslims are innocent of shirk or believing in a creator other than Allah when wearing a hirz. There's no danger here. You don't have to be afraid you're going to commit shirk. Don't let a Wahhabi scare you. If drinking water, taking medicine, using a lock, and uttering words do not make a person fall into shirk, then also wearing written words would not make a person fall into shirk. What made those pagan talismans shirk was their belief that they create. Just like they believed that sicknesses were contagious by themselves. Muslims don't believe that. A Muslim believes if you got sick by the will of Allah. Either because Allah creates the contagion, according to the saying that contagiousness is something, or because Allah made you sick like he made the one before you sick, according to the saying that there is no contagion. But those non-Muslims, they believe that sicknesses just transfer by their natures without the creating of Allah. Muslims don't believe like that. Likewise, if you wore hirz, you don't believe that someone other than Allah creates anything. So again, the tama'im mentioned in the hadith are not the same as the hirz. They are the practice, those tama'im, they are the practice of the superstitious pagans of the Jahiliyyah. They used to believe that they create the benefit, not that Allah creates it. Just like they used to worship the idols and believe the sicknesses were contagious by themselves, not by the creating of Allah. And they believed in luck and fortune tellers. But luck, though, saying they believed in luck means in an inappropriate way. But there is something called fortune, meaning the benefit that Allah gives you, if you want to call that luck. But they mean luck in a paganistic way. Maybe the word luck might be used with the meaning of fortune, goodness. You'd say, just like, wouldn't you say about a person, you're very fortunate. So there's no superstitious belief here, saying you're a very fortunate person. So a person might use the word luck with this meaning. Might say you're a very lucky person, means fortunate. But they believed in another way, though, that there's some creating that's not from God. Those who used the hadiths about the tama'im to forbid the hirz did not learn or believe about this issue properly. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. We'll stop there. And we have one last chapter, reciting at the graves. If Allah gives us the life, we'll read that next week. And then after that, we have our table of questions. Starting with question 1. And how many questions we have here? 127. So we'll probably be on those questions for a few weeks. That'll be a nice review. So review there. Look, if you want to be attending these, you want to answer these questions, start reviewing now. You have a test coming up. Here's the questions. You got all the questions and all the answers. You have the questions and the answers right here. So get ready. We're probably going to get to these questions in, let's say, 2 weeks. Do you have any question I can answer for you?